Hello, hello, hello. This is Tom from Tom and Ruth Philippine Adventures. As a foreigner coming to another country, sometimes you may ask yourself, what are the rights? What kind of rights do you have as a foreigner in the Philippines, and what if something happens, and are you going to be safe? Safety. Uh, in fact, I looked at this Congress. They actually, I'm in the Bill of Rights here. The foreigners in the Philippines are entitled to the benefits of the individual rights secured in the Philippines Bill. The question was asked to me, what rights do you have if you have property there and your wife owns the property? What rights does she have, and what rights do you have as a foreigner to gain part of that? Well, she owns the property no matter what. When you buy that property, she's going to own the property. Now, you can own the house above the property, and you can actually put that in writing and have that in writing with an attorney. The rights are that any land is it's like anything else. A lot of islands are that way. That whatever country that you're in, the locals have the land, and you have maybe a house, other articles, cars, vehicles, machinery, farm equipment, things like that. If you use the farm equipment to till the land, that is still can be owned by you. If you purchase the items, if she purchased it and she can prove it, well, there you go. A lot of Americans, what they're doing, they find themselves sometimes maybe in sticky situations. And the reason they find themselves is they come here with rose-colored glasses and thinks everything's going to be okay. And it is most of the time. But there are times where you may find yourself that you bought a vehicle and she may have paid the vehicle and she owns the vehicle, even though you paid for it, but it's in her name. She owns the vehicle. Until you go to court and until it's sold elsewhere. It's like it is in the U.S. So if you're a foreigner here in the Philippines, in 1902, what they did, the rights of the Constitution, and according to the principles of the Constitution, as extended to the Philippine Islands by the President's instructions and by the Philippine Bill, foreigners are entitled to the protection of their life, liberty, and property. Now, that's property that you may own except for land and some of that. A lot of times, people are under the impression that if they paid for it, they own it. It's theirs. Being a foreigner in a different country, it's not as it is in USA. Being a foreigner here, you own what you purchased that's in your name. If it's in your wife's name, she owns it. There is no ifs, ands, or buts about it. It's hers. That van is in her name. That's Ruth's van. I had them put in that name. I didn't say Tom and Ruth. I said, put it in your name. I trust you. You want to keep the van? Keep the van. You know what I mean? It's not like that. So, same thing with the house. She owns the land. I own the house. She owns the van. She owns her garden stuff. She owns everything in that nature, right? But here's where the complication comes in. The mentality sometimes is a couple of guys. Steve W. He's from California, is here, and there's a stickler about some things. The relationship did not go as well as he thought it was going to. 6 months later, he's married. Been married for just a month or so. He found himself in unfamiliar territory. He's going to have to sell his things. What do I own and what I don't own? What's in her name and what's in your name? A lot of times you can request the courts to sell everything and split it accordingly. But if she has the land and she decides not to sell the land, she may not sell the land. And there's so many guys get in trouble that way. They're sending money here and sending money and sending money. And you guys know the story of the guy that sent $250,000 here. And he has $250,000. And he found himself $250,000 gone. And where are the things? The house, the car, the fernery, the garden center, the piggery, all the sorry store, the bakery shop. Where'd all that money go? Well, she owns all of it. Because it's all in her name, because he gave the money freely. Once you give the money freely and she grabs it and she puts it in her name, now he has to go to court to fight that. Will they overturn that? It's entirely up to the court system. You have to fight that on your own, and it's entirely up to the judge. I don't know. I really don't know. But I know that a lot of times people don't realize that that is something that you really have to be aware of. Homer is eating something. Get that. He's always eating something. Excuse me for the delay. Why is it there's always delay when I'm on here, right? So we find ourselves in that unfamiliar territory on what you actually own, what you don't own. Even though you paid for it, doesn't mean that you own it. And I want to get that clear. So many times guys think that, well, I bought the motorcycle. I bought her a motorcycle. I bought her an InMax. I paid her 150,000 peso for it, $3,000, and it's mine. Well, no, it's not yours. You may have paid for it, but it's in someone else's name, and the tag's in someone else's name, so they own the bike. So make that clear that if you find yourself down the road, whether it's 6 months or a year, you better get that worked out now while the relationship is good, and get that worked out. Say, honey, if something happens to us, God forbid, who gets what? Who gets to keep what? Who gets to sell what? And then we're going to have to go to court to fight all of it. Now, some Filipino will say, I'll just split it with you. But there are a lot of Filipino will not say, I ain't splitting anything with you. It's mine. I earned it. Believe me. And that's their mindset. Well, that's what happened to Steve here. He says that she, in her mindset, she earned it. Well, how did she earn it? It's my money. And there's a large sum of money. It's like $80,000 US, 4 million peso. And that will offset you a lot. That will put a man sometimes in bankruptcy in that situation. Luckily, he's okay financially, but he took a hit. And in his mind, what should I do? I said, well, you take her to court. You get an attorney, you take her to court and find it. So are you separated? Yes, we're separated. I left the house. I said, okay, seek legal advice. Go seek legal advice, and they'll give you an idea on what's going on. You never really know what's going on. You never really know what's going to happen in those situations. You always have to really take your time and think about things before you commit to a long-term relationship. I don't want to tell you how many people have written me and told me, and even though my channel was down, I still got them. And now the guys like Steve this morning, Paul Pickard sent me a message this morning in the same situation. I always get the negative, but then I get the positive. And a couple of guys messaged me this morning in comments. High five to the guys. Their relationship's going fantastic. Mark got here. He's over in Jinsan, and the relationship is perfect, and he's set. So that makes it really nice and content. And you really don't really realize that you really do have to take the time to think about those things before you commit to a relationship, and make sure you have that all planned out, because you never know exactly what's going to happen. You can hear Omer in the background. He's wanting to go out. He's wanting to go out. He's wanting to go out. The handful. God bless everybody. Thank you so much for always coming on our videos, and thank you so much for this wonderful, wonderful day and stream and video. And I'm watching him at the same time.